It is, of course, the big Duel Links 9th Anniversary campaign day today. We've got Dragoon, we've got Dimension Link, we've got a brand new structure deck, selection box, bundles, the whole works, right? We'll go through it all, give my thoughts, and then, of course, there is a brand new box announced, a new character, and a really big campaign. It's probably the biggest one they've ever done in Duel Links, and it feels kind of like what other gacha games do, perhaps more towards the end of their life. So a little bit worrying, but it's a really cool campaign, so we'll talk about that one. So first of all, of course, is the main campaign, giving us our free copy of Dark Dragoon and the Overrush Red Eyes. This has been tearing up ladder so far. Seems to be people are enjoying it pure. The deck doesn't seem that bad, but also in Dark Magician, in Branded, in a few other builds, right? So, you know, cool, finally Duel Links does half burn damage, which is perfectly fine. So, a new era for Duel Links, probably copium, I don't know. But overall, fine, right? Cards, gems, tickets, that's great. Gain Dimension Linker, which I've already gone and chronicled, you know, to my fullest extent already, because the card is really, really nice as a celebration of Duel Links of 9 years. It's a very good looking card, right? Of course, we're getting SR Dream tickets, UR Dream tickets, and also, if you have a Duelist Point account, so Japan and America, right, you can get a free glossy SR Dream ticket for Rush Duel and for Speed Duel until February 2nd, I believe. So hopefully we get more regions soon, because otherwise it's a free Dream ticket no one else has got. But that's a really cool campaign. It's also available for those users, so fingers crossed you see that as well. And there's also missions to get some more Chronicle chips, some animated foils, that's fine. There's also the bingo missions for the second and third copies of your Dimension Link. Now, you can get a second one today. The third one comes on January 21st, my birthday, which is kind of fitting, cool. And then on the 29th is going to be an icon and the rest of the sheets. So, you know, spreading out the rewards it makes sense, but at the same time, they're really stretching the Rush Duel stuff, and it feels really bad when you go and look at the box we're getting, end of the month, because it's a Rush Duel box. There's also Speedrun coming as well, but it just feels kind of bad overall for Rush Duel. We'll get there eventually. Then, in the shop, is a brand new campaign giving us a free copy of the new Red Eyes deck. Now, overall, I think this is kind of better than I thought it was going to be. Of course, we're getting Res Fusion. We've got some free-to-play reprints. That's good. The extra deck is pretty stacked, and I think the only thing we're kind of missing is the Dark Smell Dragon, which is in a deck box and also has an alt art which they could rerun in a future anniversary box. So that would make sense. Now, we're getting a free copy, which of course is going to be bought straight away. Let's just go and get that. Hopefully, Prismatic would be cool. We don't, but that's fine, right? Free is free. And this, 2 copies of this, right, is all you need. Auto Duel in Duel Links ever. Right, Red Eyes already was fine for Auto Duel. Getting Dragoon, it's, you know, easily summonable via the skill. It's perfect for a new player coming to Duel Links. We've then got 2 bundles for alt arts, right? And I think these are fine. Value-wise, it's not great. You've got to go into like £16, which... If this is what Duel Links monetization was, right, was like mainly alt arts, right, then I think it'd be fine. 30 packs, game mat's fine. You get animated Chronicle foil as well, so you can put it on one of these 2, which is a bit funny. But overall, these bundles are just like, okay, personally not for me, but cool they exist for someone that wants them. And then, of course, is the big content drop. Selection Box Volume 9. Good news, Duel Links meta, because it's just a way easy to kind of visualize all the cards on one screen. And this is a really weird box, right, because there's some cool cards in here, right? Of course, Ghost Bell is the main draw, right? Just a really good hand trap, going to be great in the current metagame. This is fantastic. Diviner is good for Drytron at the moment. I believe while missing some of the cards can make it work. Of course, if we get Voice's Voice sometime soon, then it'll be good for that as well. Typhon is the big kind of bait card, I guess. You know, a really good Xyz that in the Master of TCG is kind of your game plan L, right? You summon it when you can't really do much else. Of course, it is a board breaker by itself, but it does unlock you from basically doing anything else for us to turn. So most times it's, oh, my board's been cleared, I'm going to summon this and hope that I can survive a turn, and most times you kind of die next turn. Given that Duel Links skills kind of also get around this, it can be okay in some decks, right? You know, you can summon Weaker Body, pop this on, get your pop off, play a skill, and hopefully things kind of work out from there. If you can splash it in at least, which most deck skills now do, you know, not use the extra deck rise restrictions, so this might be fine, might be better than we kind of expect, but is kind of a bait card, right? Slayer is a really good removal spell. Issue is, it's not quick play, so in Duel Links at the moment, how useful is it going to be? I'm not too sure. And of course, we get the Ultart Dimension Goal, which was kind of expected, given that Blue Eyes and DM was in October. Now the Ultarts kind of match with Red Eyes and this one, and they've done the opposite, right? One structure, one selection, and they flipped them around. Protag Rival just makes sense. SR-wise is a bit more interesting, I think, mainly because of the Horus cards. And these are a really good rank 8 engine. At the moment, it's these two. Of course, over time, we'll get more. The one big thing, the one glaring thing, is whenever we get reprints for selection box cards, if they're in a mini box, it's 1 SR. If it's a main box, it's 2 SRs. They've given this theme 3 SRs, so they will either be splitting these reprints in multiple boxes, or they will go into a main box and we'll get 1 SSR, new SR in the box. Now, obviously, they are high caliber reprints, so eventually, in 2 years' time, whenever they get reprinted, given Thomas Common schedule, this will be a good thing to have. Maybe in the box we're getting at the month for Nash, right, and Exceeds Focus box, this will make more sense to kind of get, right, as a really urgent thing. But for the moment, I think they're good cards, obviously, but they are missing, again, more support, and hopefully that comes later down the line. We've got the Sly Rabbit, of course. We kind of guessed it was coming because of the trap card in the last box. Very good card. We've got Aggregator, the Ryzeal card. We've got Zolkin. We've got Kularia, which is awful. I think people are not really bothered about this one. And Dawn Dragster as a weird inclusion, but I believe that there's a deck right now that can play this. And of course, it is a good card, just a bit of a random one. And kind of my thought on the box overall, it's a bit of a random one, right? Like we've got, Dragon Maid cards in here, but there's no reprints of Chamber, of House, or whatever. So that's really, really off. The rest of the box is kind of, reprints mainly of Majestic Magic and of the Rainbow Overdrive, which then makes sense why they weren't reprinting more of these, because that would mean basically reprinting the entirety of last year's New Year's main box, which, isn't great. Cosmic is in here, again, as a rerun card. Bombless as well. These two feel really, really awkward. Even Blizzard feels a bit awkward, but these two in particular feel really out of left field, and like, why are they in here? Like, maybe they've put them in here because they'll be used in the Lex Duel event, right? And they're thinking, oh, people might go in and get the card for that event. Like, maybe that's a thing they'll think. Yeah, just a bit of a weird inclusion overall. We've got, cards available via box chips in here, and via previous anniversary boxes, which is never a good thing for your premium paywall product to have cards you can get available in really free abundance. It just doesn't make that much sense. Of course, August again, getting a reprint from an anniversary box into a selection box. Your main cards are obviously going to be Bell, then Diviner, then your Zeus, then the horror stuff, right? And I think that outside of that, there's not a immediate kind of, oh my god, this is amazing vibe. I think comments on the site are feeling the same way. Why didn't we get an anniversary box like last year or the year before? Well, there wasn't one last year or the year before. Actually, if you look at the dates for these ones, the last one last year was January 24th. Year before was February 3rd, because these aren't anniversary boxes for Duel Links. It's initially was for the 20th anniversary of the card game, and then they've kind of stuck with the branding, and it's been a confusing branding to say the least. Right, so if we get one, it probably comes alongside Nash on the 29th-ish, around then, right? And you could think reprint Galaxy Eyes Ultarts, right? Utopia Ultarts, put more Shark support in those right before you can put them in box chips. I think that, like, it writes itself in a way to have it. So I would assume if one is coming, I don't know if one is, just a complete guess here, but it'll be alongside Nash, and that would make more sense, at least before KC Cup, right? But that would then be, selection box into anniversary box into a mini box for Speed Duel, and could potentially be too much content. Now, we did have a stream today for the 9th anniversary of Duel Links, and it was a dual point room, Rough Rush on Speed Duel, nothing overly amazing. Someone bought the broken bug skill, which was very funny. However, two big things were announced. First of all, is Nash confirmed finally, officially, right, showing his spray off, which is cool to see. Secondly, is a big campaign lasting over a month and a half that gives you a free URSR Dream Pack every single day for playing one duel. Which is crazy, right? Because that pack can contain, according to their own words, again, bad translations probably, from all the main, mini and deck boxes in Speed Duel. So the entirety of Duel Links history could be in this card pack, so you could get some really good cards, also some really bad ones. But getting this once per day is really, really big, and I feel like that giving a reward this big is bigger than the Anniversary campaign by itself, right? That's how it feels to me. It feels like something Duel's China would do. It feels kind of like something that a game on its way out to end of service would do as well. It kind of reminds me of Cross Duel, where every day was a free temple. Kind of similar in some vein, right? Obviously not the same situation at all, but just kind of the same vibes. But not that I'm getting the vibes we're going to end of service anytime soon. The big thing is a brand new box called Crimson Vocalize, releasing on the 29th, the same day as Nash. Now, this is where things get a bit awkward, because you've now got this releasing on the 29th, you've got Emu's Rerun on the 21st. Wouldn't it have made sense to put this alongside Emu's Rerun, the Rush event, right? Wouldn't it have made sense to kind of do that, rather than waiting for the Speed event, which we've then probably got a Speed box coming 2 or 3 days afterwards, right? It feels like they've shot this box in the foot before it kind of was released, which is really, really baffling. And of course, we've just had one day with box on the 5th of January. We then had to wait a week for Dimension Linker, for the skill to make Soul Glaze Pierce work. You've then got to wait another week for the 3rd copy of Dimension Linker. You've then got to wait another week for Trade-In, a really good card for level 8 decks like Soul Glaze Pierce, like Dimension Linker. Now, this feels really bad, because it's very clear they could have gone and given us a mini box, given us our 500 gems for it, and given us some more content this month. But they decided, no, we'll give the box that doesn't give gems, we'll give the box that people are feeling sick of because of the cadence of them, because of the 6 cards a month we get. Of course, we've got 12 here, but we don't know about February yet. In theory, it should be a Rush Duel month, right? And the month should be Rush character, so it's kind of a stopgap product, but it feels like part 2 of the current deck build that we've got in the game right now, and getting it so soon, like just now, it's like, a week later, it just doesn't feel right? It doesn't feel great overall, and again, it just makes things more expensive than they kind of had to be. But of course, new card-wise, right, we're getting the big maximum for Maddox, and this is really, really cool. So you've got the main piece here, your Vocalist Phoenix, I believe it's going to be translated to something a bit different, a bit smaller in this one, and it is a burn for 1,000, gains piercing, and gains effect protection from trap cards, which is, fine for maximum, right? Middle piece is fine. The good stuff is the side pieces, right? Of course, you've got the right piece, which is going to be back removal by shuffling a Fire Aqua in your grave into the deck. Then if it's maximum mode, you can pop one more card. So potentially 2 back row pops with 1 card. Special maxims are kind of hard to out in general. It feels like a win more maximum in some ways, right? Then the left piece is the same, but for level 9 or lower monsters, and then you can pop another monster. So against non-maximum decks, against non-Mataran Ashura style, the full Mataran one, against non-Cyber Dragon, this is really, really solid. Now the issue is we've not really got that many targets for the effect of these, right? You shuffle back a Fire Actually Thunder for this one. There's 1 in the game right now, being your Bolt Tricorn thing, that's limit 3. For this one, you shuffle back a Fire Aqua. There's none except for this. So we've hopefully got to get a skill that works to recycle these cards, right, or get more support, which could kind of line up nicely for a level capping Kusagorosh roll, right, get more support via level ups. Hopefully it is the time for that, right? We kind of hope alongside Emi we get it, but if they want to push it back a week for this box release, then also makes sense, I guess. Fingers crossed. If it doesn't happen, then it's even more baffling. It would feel even worse. Of course, also going to be getting Estrom the Mega Monarch. Now, this is the second of the Rush original Monarchs. Of course, we had the War first of all. We've now got this one, and this is fundamentally similar. However, your opponent chooses the card to protect rather than to destroy. And so, if they've got a big body on their field, they can choose one of their back rows, and then it dies, which obviously is not great, but you can then kind of chain together tribute summons to hopefully clear opponent's board. Now, Monarch was one of my favourite decks in Rush Duel Links. Blue Eyes Monarch was really, really good. I won a bunch of challenge cups with it, and so I am looking forward to this one. And so far we've seen 5 cards, right? And we know for deck builds, you get 6. That is kind of your new card limit. So there's only really 2 cards it could be. Your Baby Monarch, which is the strong level slow effect monster, which, okay, is good for against heroes, basically. Or we get Hebe the Star Vassal. One of those 2 is probably coming alongside a Strom. We could get more, because if we look at the Monarch, right, we've got the mid one and the Vassal as well. So it would make sense, but also I could see them putting one of these in a future box, right, and going, here's a mini box coming end of February, early March, right before Garish Festival. It's got Black Scarf Dragon support in, it's got Monarch support, and then you feel like you're buying part 3 of the anniversary boxes, which again doesn't really feel great overall. And I think that's my overall kind of vibe this anniversary, is overall it doesn't really feel great, especially for Rush players, right, but for Speedball players as well. There's something kind of lacking, and I think that if you look at the trailer they put out for the anniversary drop, right, of course also All-Star Joey released, right, that's cool, but they put out a trailer for the anniversary, and usually it's got voiced, you know, it's voiced by an anime character, right, they hype it up. But this one, it was just like, oh look, here's some pretty illustrations of Dimension Link and of Dragoon, of Dimension God Red Eyes, and like that was, it felt very low-key in a way. I don't know. Of course, new content is great. Of course, you know, 2 deck builds in a row for Rush Duel does kind of suck, but at least it's not like a month-and-a-half long void to wait for new Rush content. But we are probably getting a Speedle box 2 days later, and so it feels like they've kind of jammed all the Rush content this month into really bad feeling positions in terms of timing, right? You know, you've released a deck box 5 days after a really hype main box of Speedle where everyone's playing Speedle, and then you've sandwiched it between the anniversary, which is very Speedle focused, and then you've got to wait longer for that Rush content, and then when you do release on the box, it is 2 days before another big Rush mini box that will probably have, you know, Shark support, Tachyon support could be in there as well, like a bunch of Baron support, Utopia support, like there's so much could be in that box. It's pre-KC Cup, usually they're pretty good, so we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's my rough, rambly thoughts on the brand new Duel Links content, the anniversary. Hopefully we can make a video on Dimension Linker being good, and then do a video again in 2 weeks' time when the box drops and we get trade in, just to improve consistency, I guess.